up? Welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, and I am next to my amazing husband,
Miguel Ramirez. What's going on, babe?
What's up? What's up?
So, right now, when you guys are listening to this podcast, it's Sunday or Monday, whenever you listen to it, but we're actually recording this podcast on Tuesday.
Yes. So today I decided to dress up for you guys. How do you like it?
What do you...
Well,
you actually have dress pants on under there.
I do, but it's because I was getting ready. I'm leaving to Vegas tomorrow morning on a business trip, and I just haven't been in the mood to pack. And so I have to force myself to get this thing together because of, we have a lot going on right now with our rental property, having to get
it's been crazy.
Everything in place from landscapers, pest control, cleaners, painters, and
carpet
trying to
people,
pack.
it's been insane, nonstop.
And
but
I
it's all
don't want to
good.
pack.
Yeah.
Like I told him, I should be really excited. Like I'm going to Vegas, but I'm like,
What was that?
You like that? That sound familiar? Is that what you heard last night?
I was like, wait, hold on. I got distracted for a second.
Wrong podcast.
Yeah. No, I think lately, man, I've been getting worn out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I can sound something. I hear something there.
Yeah. I mean, these last few days. No, what did I say today? I don't even know what day it is.
You sound
I said Tuesday,
sexy.
right?
Sing that tune for me.
I said it was Tuesday, right? No, it's actually Wednesday. And man, these last couple days, been going to bed late.
Yes, waking up super early.
Waking up regular time, which is super early.
Yes.
But just doing stuff that we have to do, right?
Yeah. You said today's Wednesday.
Today is Wednesday.
You know what Wednesday is, right?
What?
Hump day.
Oh. Nice. So, so last time we talked to you guys, it was Father's Day.
Yes.
And one thing that I wanted to mention, as far as parenting goes, like one thing that we've tried to do and stay consistent with, even though our kids don't do it, but hopefully what we're hoping is that it rubs off on them.
Yeah.
Is that you do what you say you're going to do, right?
Keep your word.
You keep your word. When you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Yes.
So, and you know what? Actually, one of my friends that I ran into at the supermarket the other day, that he listens to the podcast, one of our friends, Tim, we went paintballing with him.
Yeah. I remember that. I busted my finger.
Yeah. Joey got shot in the finger. The first time he got shot. And it hurts.
Yeah.
No, that's like one of the worst places to get shot because it's like there's no meat to cushion it. It's just like all bone.
Nope.
But, he invited me to go paintballing. And one of the things that I remember saying is like, if I tell you I'm going to be there, then I'm going to be there. If I'm not going to be there, I'm not, I might say, I don't know, we'll see, or maybe, or whatever. But if I say I'm going to be there, then I'm going to be there. And the same thing goes with our kids. Like if we tell them we're going to do something, then we're going to do it.
Right.
And even though a lot of times... That's
important with everything, not just...
Yeah. No, it is. It's not just
business,
with the kids.
Everything.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm following through with things. But that turned... what I was just thinking is that sometimes that turns into a lot more maybes than actual yeses. But
yes.
I mean, you're not lying.
That's a
because
good
you're
note.
not saying I will do it. It's like, all right, maybe we might get around to it. We'll see.
Yeah. But we like to say yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
And so that was a good lesson for us on Father's Day.
So on Father's Day, obviously, we want to, or I want to just hang out with the family. It's Father's Day. Let's chill. Let's hang out with the kids, with you. My favorite thing is go upstairs and watch TV and just be a bum.
No. We have this absolutely fantastic, comfortable
It's the best
ottoman.
couch.
It was
the couch
like the
ottoman.
best bang for our buck, let me tell you.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best. Like you lay down on this thing and you just crash. And the ottoman is so big that you can lay down across, like all four of us fit on the ottoman at the same time.
And our two dogs.
And the dogs. So that's what I was thinking we were going to do on Father's Day. Like, we're just going to be bums, maybe
Chill.
get up, eat, maybe go out to eat. But then I decided, like, you know what? It'd be nice to get some steaks.
Right.
So, and I'm thinking to myself, steaks, not a big deal. It takes 10 minutes to cook.
Yeah.
Well, not with my grill, because it takes,
Forever.
20, 25 minutes to get the coals going. And
I'm like already starving.
so it's also Sunday, which is when we record our podcast. So we have to record the podcast, but recording the podcast is easy because it takes an hour.
Right.
But after the podcast, I have to do the editing, and we have the video, so I have to edit the video, and then we have to upload and make sure that it's uploaded right. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into doing a podcast that it's only an hour
process.
podcast. Yeah, but you have to tag the information, all kinds of stuff. So in the beginning of the weekend, I told Joey, like, we were playing Legos in his room.
Right.
And I built him this loft bed, and that underneath he has a bunch of toys. And because the bed is big and it's closer to the ceiling, it casts a big shadow down on his toys, and it's hard to see sometimes.
Right.
So I told him, I was like, you know what would be cool? We should get you a light for this loft. Like, we'll put the light on the bottom of the bed, and it'll shine a light down on all your toys. And that way you can see and you can play. And like, I'm thinking to myself, it's just a little light fixture. It's not a big deal.
But he was like very excited.
He was
about
excited.
This. Very.
And I told him that we would do it this weekend, which this weekend means anytime Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
Right.
Well, guess what? It didn't get done on Friday.
Right.
Saturday, we had the jiu-jitsu tournament, and then we went out to eat.
Yep.
We were out all day Saturday.
Yep.
And then Sunday is Father's Day, and I still haven't put that light up.
Right.
So in between editing and all this other crap that I have to do, which is, it's fun. I like doing it, but it's just more stuff on the plate. And Joey's like, you said we were going to do it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm kind of trying to talk my way out of it. Like, hey, is it okay if I buy this stuff today and maybe we can do it tomorrow? But the thing is, I'm also thinking about tomorrow. Like, I don't have time to do it tomorrow.
Well, Adriana, when I was outside, she came up to me, and I don't know if she was looking for you, but she asked for you. And I'm like, what's up? Why are you looking for Dad? And she said, well, because he promised, because he promised that he was going to take us to the store and we were going to put up a light. And I told her, you know me, like, I was just like, because they were putting a lot of pressure on you. And I said, you know what? Today is Father's Day. It's Daddy's Day. And you already see, Daddy's very busy during the week. And so maybe we should put it off. And she's like, no, he promised us. And what did you tell me? To always keep our word. And I looked at her and I'm like, you little brat. Like, she's using my words against me. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? How many times do you tell me you're going to clean your room and you don't keep your word?
Yeah.
But like you said,
So, it's something I told him, like, that we were going to do it. So in between firing up the barbecue, I was like, screw it. Get in the car. Let's go to Home Depot. Let's get this stuff. So we went and bought the stuff real quick, and then we had dinner, and we went upstairs. We put the light in. And then, ever since then, we've been kind of thinking about, or at least I've been thinking about the podcast a lot. Like, just kind of thinking about, like, what it could turn into. Because we were listening to this Joe Rogan podcast that came out maybe like a few weeks ago. And he had this guest, Naval Ravikant is his name, and he has his own podcast, and it talks about, like, I mean, it sounds cheesy. It's like how to get rich, because everybody's looking at how to get rich,
right?
But the stuff that he talks about is like, it makes a lot of sense.
Is that mainly about mindset?
Some of it is about mindset, but he talks about, like, different kinds of leverage, like he was saying how today there's so many different kinds of leverage that we aren't accustomed to. Like, a lot of people, since the beginning of time, people have worked together, and, there's been a hierarchy. So there's kind of like a manager or a lead or somebody who runs the show. And then there's people that, work with them. And that's a form of leverage when you have people that work for you.
Right.
And that's one that we're really accustomed to. But then you have investing that's been around maybe a couple 100 years. And that's something that people know more about, but we still don't, fully take advantage of that.
Right.
But with the internet coming around and the computers and everything, like, there's other forms of leverage that we just don't even realize.
Right.
Like, you don't have to be a leader of people anymore. Like you can have a show on YouTube. You can be a content creator. You can be an artist and do it all yourself, and you can make money that way.
Right.
And like, obviously, we're always, thinking about different ways that we can make money. And we just started this podcast, and I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, he's got a point. And there's other ways, like the different ways that you can make money.
Yeah. And the thing about the podcast is like what you mentioned is that it's our podcast. Like we don't have anyone telling us what we can talk about, marketing,
exactly.
advertising, like it's our podcast.
So kind of like radio, right? If we had a radio show, we could have a radio show, but we have to follow certain FCC rules. Mm-hmm. Like there's certain things you can and can't say. Mm-hmm. There's certain things that, if we're part of a radio show, maybe we have a boss, maybe we're part of a network.
Right. Well, it's kind of like, and this is a good example, Legal Shield. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So with Legal Shield, it's a legal service. So there's a lot of rules and regulations that we have to abide by, even just for advertising, like doing radio. I mean, just talking about it here, like we have to mention that we are independent associates of Legal Shield versus Trust Inc. Trust Inc. is our business. We get to market. We get to, create our own labels, design our own labels. Don't need to get an okay. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even with Trust Inc., because it's a notary service, there's still regulations.
Yeah.
But like with podcasting or making music, that is 100% you.
Okay.
Like there is nobody that can tell you anything about anything. We can say whatever the hell we want to say. We can do whatever we want to do. And there's like, maybe YouTube has rules or Facebook has rules about their advertising or whatever, but there's other ways that we can get the stuff out there, right?
Gotcha.
So anyway, it's just ways to make money without asking for permission. And another thing that he was talking about was making money and having a business that is kind of like about being you, like just being yourself. Kind of like the Joe Rogan podcast. Like he was talking about how his podcast is 100% him, who he is. Like he has scientists on his podcast. He has comedians on his podcast. If his podcast was to disappear, there is nothing else that replaces it. It's like a musician. Same thing.
Well, Joe Rogan is his brand.
Yeah. It's
branding yourself. Yeah. It's branding you. You know?
And we were listening to this guy Naval's podcast, and it's funny because when we're listening to it, he brought up two people.
Oh,
right.
That was pretty funny.
It's crazy because he was talking exactly about this, about how if you can figure out how to make money being yourself, then you're not competing with anybody else because you are it.
Right.
And there is nobody that's going to come and replace you if you figure that out.
Right.
And the two people that he brings up are Joe Rogan and Oprah.
Go figure.
That'd be a hell of a podcast. Joe Rogan and Oprah.
Well, we're kind of like Joe Rogan and Oprah. I mean, I haven't touched, my, or not touched, but I haven't really got connected to my inner spirit and really just.
Everybody look under your seats.
Open up. I know, right? Open up and just I feel like I've been vulnerable, but, there's a certain way that I want to share and reach people. Yeah. And I think the more I get comfortable doing the podcast, being in front of a camera, being in front of you, that part of me will come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that day.
So yeah, like I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I've spent a lot of time looking at Facebook advertising and just different ways to grow the podcast. And Facebook is a powerful tool. And the way that it's a powerful tool is kind of scary. Like the way they know everything about everybody.
Yeah.
Like you can, for example, for our podcast, like you can market specifically. I mean, it's crazy. I spent hours looking at this stuff, but it's super interesting and we want to do it. Go ahead.
You have so much patience to do that. Like I would have just been gone. Like, just forget about it. That's too much to try to even understand. It's so much information, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is the thing is I was thinking about that too, because I have spent a lot of time looking that up. I spent a lot of time looking up how to set up a podcast. But it's one of those things, like if you want something, if you really want it, you'll figure out how to make it happen.
Right.
And we don't have a lot of money. We have, and we're careful with what we spend money on. And I've had a lot of people tell me like, dude, your podcast sounds really good. Like you listen to other professional podcasts from multimillionaire comedians and all, like yours sounds better than a lot of theirs. Yeah. Or people that have been podcasting for years, like yours sounds really good.
So do you feel that because you used to write music?
Yeah.
And you would record yourself like rapping. And so you have, or you would say you're a bit familiar.
With the editing, with the software, even though this software is completely different than what I used to use, right. But it wasn't like complete, like I would say that I had maybe with the software, I had like a 20% head start because I already knew the difference between mono tracks and stereo tracks and adding tracks and cutting clips and all that kind of stuff.
I would have started with the karaoke machine. I'm like, all right, we're up. Hey, I would have rigged it. I would have been like Facebook Live.
But
got
the same
karaoke machine.
Even at that time when I was recording the music, like I really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So when I didn't know anything, guess what I did? I spent hours on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like learning how, because I didn't know anything about all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I had to learn it.
But that's when you're passionate about something, you'll go after it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's why with whatever it is you do in life, you want to make sure that, you not only do you have a solid why, like why you're doing what you're doing, but have a passion for what it is that you're doing. Because they say that once your passion matches, what is it?
Is it your purpose?
Yeah, there you go. When your passion matches your purpose, that's when fireworks and all that amazing stuff happens.
I think you're
even
missing
though you do have challenges. You are going to have challenges, but when the passion's there.
When your passion matches your purpose and you put in the work.
Well, yeah. Well, you're going to put in the work.
Because you can be passionate.
Right.
And it could be your purpose, but if you're just not as motivated to do the work, it's not going to take off.
See, I don't believe that. Because I believe if it is your passion and it is your purpose.
If it's your passion, then you would be motivated to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So part of that, like lately,
I'm just saying.
So lately, I've gotten like this, like really motivated about the podcast. Like you think it's a cool idea to think of something that like this is mine. I'm gonna grow this.
This is ours.
Well, yeah,
and we are gonna grow this.
I'm just saying, like we're gonna grow this thing. It's gonna be ours, and nobody can take it away. Like I can't get laid off from this thing. I can't get fired. I'm not. This is
get laid.
Yes, and yeah. Anyway, so it's just like it's become really motivating. So, when we are uploading the podcast and kind of checking how things are going, especially when you're starting out, you kind of want to share it with the people that with your 4,000 friends on Facebook and my 400 friends on Facebook. 350 of those, which I don't really know that well, but you share it with them, right? Yes. And what do you think is going to happen? You think it's good? Like Facebook is such a powerful platform. I'm going to share it, and everybody's going to share it. And it's look, out of 4,000 friends, if we can get 100 downloads a week, that's a start. It's great.
Right.
Well, guess what? It doesn't work that way.
No, not at all.
And a few podcasts back, we were talking about finding out who your real friends are. Mm-hmm. And just like we had this experience with Legal Shield. I think anybody who starts a business, who tries to build something, who creates something for themselves, they all have this experience, no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. It's when you put it out there, you'll find out who really supports you.
Like who your real friends are.
Exactly. And there'll be people that you think will support you. Like, I know they have my back.
Right.
And you don't hear anything. And then there's people that you didn't expect.
Right.
And they're putting it out there.
Yeah, like
you
for
know?
sure. Yeah. Like I have a friend from 5th grade.
Yeah.
Who's just like totally like enjoying it and loving it. And then others that I haven't talked to forever that are, you know, reaching out and commenting. And so.
Which is awesome. And I think
it's part of it. It's just part of business. I mean, at the beginning, it is about building rapport, building the network. But you're right. I mean, to really look for those, you know, they say to be careful with the ones that aren't clapping or excited about your success.
Yeah. Yep.
You know?
That's true. Yeah. Keep an eye. But you know what? It's all good because like one thing that we learned in Legal Shield, like we've learned so much from Legal Shield. And for those that don't know, Legal Shield is a network marketing company. Multi-level marketing company, whatever you want to call it.
It's like a personal development company on steroids with an amazing service.
And to be honest, a lot of people that are ignorant, that don't know, and ignorant sounds like a bad word, but it just means that you don't know, you don't understand. They would say that's a pyramid scheme.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And they just don't understand. But aside from the money that we made in Legal Shield, like we learned so much. You know, and one of the things that we learned there, which helps with everything else, is they always talk about developing that rhino skin.
Yes.
That rhino skin that when you put stuff out there and it's not being received the way you thought, or when you talk to the person that you thought was going to help you or was going to do something.
Or would be excited. Just be excited for you.
Just excited for you.
Yeah. Supportive. Excited.
And it doesn't happen. It hurts a little bit.
Right.
If you're new.
Right.
At this point, you know, with all the things that we've done, it doesn't really hurt, but you still notice it.
Right.
But at the same time, I was telling you, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, like it's kind of motivating because I look at some of the other podcasts and I think we have something good. Because I don't know. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I haven't heard like a husband and wife that, I mean, we're willing to talk about just about anything. And I think it can be something really big. But I look at like the Adam Carolla show, and at the end of the year, he has awards. He has a huge Christmas party with all the employees, with the people that were there from the beginning.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've gotten to a point where you show up, record, you have producers, you have editors, you have all this stuff.
Yeah, all these people.
Yeah. And you don't have to do it that way. That's not the point of a podcast. But it's kind of cool to think about the future.
Yes.
And see this stuff. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? Remember the people that supported you from the beginning.
Right. Yeah, I have a recruit. I am, you know, I with Legal Shield, I tend to recruit every now and then. I used to be a huge recruiter, but I stepped back from that a little bit. And he was going through a lot of difficulties with that, you know? And so seeing him get hurt, like, you know, hey, I shared the information with my mom and some of my friends and business owners, and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay.
Yep.
Like, as long as he continues to learn and just build relationships and network and be authentic, be real. You know, I told him, you are your brand. You know, people are going to buy from you because they know you, like you, and trust you. You know, I've had people who bought from me, you know, and there's other Legal Shield associates out there. And the reason why they bought from me was because the relationship that I built, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not always that way. I think the ones that are closest to you are always the hardest sale. Would you agree?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean,
sometimes it can
my
be
mom
that way.
she's always been great with, you know, with things. But there are some that were very close to me that would just not even take a look. Just not even take a look. You know,
you actually signed my mom up like years into my Legal Shield business.
His mom wanted nothing to do with him. He was selling it.
I get home from work one day And all of a sudden, Sonja's like, I signed up your mom. I'm like, what the?
It's all good because it's the same household, and then your best friend.
You also signed up my best friend.
And your godmother.
Man.
Listen, I just had better rapport.
You do. Yeah, no, and you're great with people.
No, but it was all in the same family.
Yeah.
Anyways, aside from all the joking, if you own a business and you're going through this, just know it's part of the process. It's part of the process. Don't give up. Continue to, do what you do if you're following your passion, and just keep working hard. Keep working hard, and the right people are going to come along and they're going to support you and they're going to help you.
Yeah. And keep that vision of what you want, what you see your thing growing into, regardless of what it is.
Right.
Because when you look back at it, I mean, we've done a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like,
well, a lot. I don't think a lot. I mean, I've been doing Legal Shield for 12 years.
We did Legal Shield.
Yes.
We were selling the baby hats when the baby was born.
Oh, but that was fun, babe. That was like a hobby that turned into something because I haven't forgot about that.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that too.
So might as well talk about it. So we have a little girl and all of a sudden I find out that I'm pretty damn creative. And I start making these tutus. And of course, here comes my husband, who's a perfectionist and knows that there is a way to make this thing
I think people will buy this.
Perfect. Yeah. And so he came up with a system, a pretty awesome system.
I built a sweatshop in our house.
He did. We're going to post pictures.
We have pictures, don't we?
Oh my God. We have some pictures. But let me tell you, like, these tutus were selling for $75 a pop at First Friday in Phoenix, Arizona.
The baby hats, like I looked into suppliers for Swarovski crystals because I didn't want to buy it from a middleman.
Nope.
So I went to Swarovski and they told me I couldn't buy it directly from them unless I ordered 10 grand worth of stuff. And
we weren't about to order 10 grand.
So I found the next best thing because I didn't want to buy it like 4 people away from Swarovski. Right. And then... the tutus. I set up like a little rig so that we can cut them exactly the same length every single time. Yeah.
We started making dresses. I mean, I even did a few for a wedding party.
My cousin's wedding.
Yeah. Not only your wedding, your cousin's wedding, my cousin's wedding as well.
That's right.
But it started to grow but then it wasn't fun anymore. Like it just wasn't fun anymore. And so I decided, okay, that's fun. And she was getting older. And then we had a boy. He's not going to wear tutus. But we had fashion shows. And you were our DJ.
And the photographer.
But that was so fun. Like, that was fun. I didn't even look at it as a business because it was fun.
And as far as this goes, like the podcast, like, understand, like, we hope that it grows into a business. But it's not about the money. Like, this is I see this as fun. Like, I like doing this. I think it's cool.
I don't even have the vision yet, just to be honest. Like, he tells me, how do you not see where this can go? Like, me, I just enjoy talking and giving back. And
well, it's a way that we can talk to people, we can entertain people, we can help people with certain things. And
so that's
anything that develops a following, you can make money doing. And shit, like, this is, we do this long enough, there's no way that, like, this is us. This is 100% us. So this is exactly what he was talking about. So
those of you that are watching this right now, you're going to remember when this podcast was set up in our kitchen dining room table.
Episode 11.
Episode 11.
So, no, it's exciting. It's exciting. It's motivating. And, I'm looking forward to it, to the future.
Yeah. So, what's up, listeners? I have something I need to talk about because I think this is so weird, but I think it's just the new age. Like, the new age, the new generation. What's up with people not calling people? Like,
what do you mean? Texting?
I put a post on Facebook for a rental property.
Oh, yeah.
And I specifically told people, call me if you're interested, because I am not going to be stuck on my
just
laptop.
Sitting there texting.
No, I can't do that. So I left my number on Facebook. What do you think happened?
Oh, I know.
I was getting messages Not even
nonstop.
Not even text messages, Facebook messages, like the PM.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. I was like, do people not know how to read? Like, call me because I don't have time. And I got so like annoyed. Like I deleted the post.
Yeah.
Like I deleted the post. And I'm like, what's up with people just not communicating? And you know what it is?
What's that?
It's the technology. It's almost like people don't even know how to communicate anymore. You know, they'll be sitting right next to each other. What's up, baby? Send you a text.
You should have a podcast like just you with your phone. Well, we can't because we're using your phone for the video.
Right. But what's up with that? But it's not just, I mean, I've noticed that with my nieces. My nieces. I've noticed that with just the younger generation, like not picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, how are you? What's up? You want to go out?" You know, like having that conversation.
Yeah.
I remember one time in band camp. No, I remember my niece, like she was having this confrontation with her boyfriend.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yes. And instead of picking up the phone and calling him, she was like texting him. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, why aren't you picking up the phone to call him?
Yeah, because the context can completely be taken a different way in a text.
No, totally. And I do that. I've done that with business, you know, like just texting. And that's why I stopped doing that. Like when it's tough conversations, you got to pick up that phone. You got to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
But regardless, that's one situation. But again, today, now that I mentioned it, you guys are going to now notice that the communication is not there anymore.
Yeah.
Aside from texting.
Yeah. I would always rather call somebody than text them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things. Like once you start texting, like you can sit there all day going back and forth and back and forth when you can have like a 2 or 3 minute conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's done.
You know,
but that is just the change of the times, I guess. It's weird.
Do you think that's a good thing?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure it's like it has its upsides and its downsides. You know, because there are certain people that you want to talk to, that you should talk to so that you can hear exactly what's going on. But then there's some times that it's just something quick. Like there are some people that you text and it's just like bam, bam, and it's over.
Yeah, that's...
You know, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure,
different.
I can't think of it right now, but I'm sure there's an upside to that style of communication. And I'm sure there's a big downside too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Anyways.
So, one thing I wanted to mention at the beginning of the podcast, and we're already like halfway done, and I said it right before we started the podcast, was about YouTube. If you guys are listening to the podcast, I wanted everybody to know that the podcast is also available on YouTube. You can watch the podcast. Sometimes we forget. I mean, we're still new at this thing, episode 11.
We're babies.
Yeah. Even though it sounds like we've been doing it forever. But like last week, we had our kids out here, and you can see them. Like you can hear them if you're just listening, but you can see them on YouTube.
Yeah. So if you're confused, like, you know, because sometimes I forget that people just listen to us.
Yeah, like sometimes you do something, or I'll do something, or the kids do something, you know, whatever. Yeah. And we forget that there are some people that just listen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but regardless of how you consume the podcast, whether you just listen or you watch it on YouTube, however you do it, if you're listening, we love you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for supporting us.
Yes. Yes. I actually did that today. I'm like, I dressed up for you guys. The people that can't see us don't know. I did it today.
Yeah. So
I wanted to thank all my lady listeners who called me and texted me to let me know that I'm not crazy. That you too.
They have those lady moments.
Yes.
They have the roller coaster days.
Yes.
Or roller coaster hours. or whatever.
Baby, come on. I'm not that bad.
You're not bad.
I'm not. It happens like once a month. You know what you should do?
What?
Calendar it. It. And let's see if it happens around the same time every month.
All right. Go. What are you talking about?
To see if, I'm just crazy one day out of the month.
All right.
Anyways. Yeah. So thank you, ladies. I appreciate that. And you men that are going through it, you have any advice?
What?
Going through being with a crazy woman. Come
when you have your woman that goes through it.
Gosh. Come on.
My advice.
Be patient.
Hide.
Be loving.
Hide. Drink.
Shut up. Get out of here.
No, it'll pass.
Be patient.
It'll pass. Be patient.
Be
Try
loving.
To be patient. Yeah.
Be compassionate.
Try to understand.
Buy her a
crazy
chocolate bar.
A week out of the month.
And if she's crying, don't ask questions. If she's crying in her pancakes. Just get up and give her a hug and wipe her tears. And that's all you have to do. And when she's ready, she will come to you. All
right.
Did you get that?
That's great.
Take note. Take a note.
No, that's a good advice.
So we've been watching When They See Us.
Oof.
Last time I brought it up, I really didn't know.
We had watched maybe the first episode.
That was it.
Yeah.
But we were on our third. Was that the third OAP? The four.
So there's four episodes in the show.
Were we on our fourth?
So we pretty much finished the fourth. We fell asleep last night because we've been worn out.
Yeah.
But oh man, that show is something else.
It truly, yeah. It's
on Netflix.
Thinking,
When They See Us.
When They See Us. When we were watching it, you brought up a situation that happened to you when you were 14.
Yeah, I was the same age as those kids.
And I know that while you were watching it, it took you back.
Yeah, I really almost started, I was feeling stuff when I was watching the stuff that was happening to these kids. So to clarify, the show When They See Us is about a group of kids in 1989, and the name of the case or whatever, they used to call the boys the Central Park Five. And what it's about is some kids that were 14 to 16 years old. There was 5 of them, and they were accused of rape, of attempted murder, of assault, of a bunch of stuff. So there's this lady that went running through Central Park, and there was a bunch of kids that went to the park, and they were kind of causing some trouble, or they were just up to...
They were just hanging out there wilding.
No, but that's what they said. They were wilding. Yeah, they are. But if you're from New York, you understand that. But because that is a word that we used to say. But there were some kids out in the park causing trouble, robbing people and getting into stuff.
Those were the older boys that were not with the group.
It wasn't
of younger
these 5
boys.
kids.
Right.
But in a separate part of the park, because Central Park is big, this lady went for a run, and she was assaulted. She was raped. She was almost killed. She got hit in the head with a branch or whatever.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. We should say before we freaking... Yeah. Anyway, sorry. If you're going to go back and watch the show.
So let's not go over the details. So Miguel went through a situation when he was younger. And so
when I was 14, I was walking home from school. I actually wrote a song about this.
Yeah. Tell them.
The song is called Wrongfully Accused. And I don't know if maybe I can post it in the Facebook group or something. Cool. But when I was 14 years old, I was walking home from school with 3 of my friends. I think it was 2 or 3, and I get stopped by the police.
And this was in New York.
This was in New York. I get stopped by the police, and they asked me if I had gotten into an altercation. I didn't even know what the hell that meant at that time. I was like, I'm not sure, but I know I didn't get in any trouble. I can tell you specifically, it was right a week after Halloween. So I get so the detective, it's not a police officer, he's in an unmarked car, and he stops me, asks me if I got into an altercation, and I said no, and he points to the kid that's in the back seat of his car. I can't really see him, but he said that I had gotten into a fight with that kid, and that he's accusing me of something. He didn't really tell me. I don't know if I don't remember, maybe because I was kind of in shock to be dealing with the police and like not knowing what the hell's going on.
Right.
But he arrested me. And at that point, I thought that I was being arrested for a fight, which is weird in New York because in New York, you have a lot bigger things to worry about than a fight. So I'm thinking to myself, if it's about a fight, then it can't be that big of a deal.
So they arrested you.
They arrested me. This is in Queens. And he put me in the back of the car. And I'm thinking to myself, well, all that's going to happen is maybe I'll be at the precinct for a while, and then my dad will come pick me up, and it'll be done.
Right.
So my dad's working, and I'm in the back of the police car handcuffed, and I'm asking the guy, the police officer that's driving, I'm like, hey, when do you think I'll be getting out of here? Because I got football practice tonight. I remember this specifically. I'm like, I got football practice. And he's like, you're not going to make it to football practice. He's like, you're going to be with us for a while. And I was just like, what the hell is going on? You know, and in my mind, I'm still thinking it's about a fight.
So could you imagine 14 years old?
So in this show, man, like I'm looking at the precinct. The benches that they have in the show are the benches that they have in the precinct. Like I remember going to the precinct and they had me handcuffed to a pole that's above the bench. And I was there for so long that I remember like there was nobody else on the bench. And I was like laying down on the bench with my hand dangling from the pole. And I was like sleeping. I could sleep through anything. You know that. Can. Even at 14, I could sleep through anything. I could be going to prison, getting ready to be raped. Like, you're going to have to wake me up to rape me in prison because I can sleep through just about anything. Gosh. So anyway, it turns out that eventually, so my dad shows up. I guess they got a hold of him. He shows up and he comes very serious. At this point, I still think it's over a fight. And he tells me, he's like, look, if at any point in your life you needed to tell the truth, you need to tell me the truth right now. He's like, I need to know, did you rob somebody? And I was like, no, I didn't rob anybody. I have no idea what's going on. And I think it was my dad who ended up telling me. He said that the kid pointed you out and said that you robbed him. And it turns out that I think they put a knife to his throat. Mm-hmm. And so like it was a serious thing. It was a group of kids. They put a knife to this kid's throat. They robbed him, took his backpack, his money. I think they might have took his shoes or whatever. So yeah, I told my dad, I was like, I didn't do it. So I ended up staying in the precinct overnight in one of their cells. I remember it was like a hard wooden bed in Flushing, Queens. And then the next day they took me to central booking. So they put me in another cell, and that's where you go see the judge. And they put me in a juvenile cell with a bunch of other juveniles that were there with for armed robbery. And I remember just sitting there, and one of the kids coming up to me, and he acts like he's gonna punch me. And I guess he was just kind of testing me to see what I was gonna do.
Right.
And I was like, I put my hands up like I'm ready to fight. He was like, oh, it's okay. I was gonna see what you're, just, and so we all started talking. And of course they asked me, so what did you do? And like, I remember one kid hit somebody in the head with a bat or some shit, and he robbed somebody. Like, they all actually robbed people. Right. And we were all just kind of talking, and they were like, what did you do? I was like, I didn't fucking do anything. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on. And like, they were actually like, damn, that's fucked up, And I'm like, yeah, tell me about it. So I was in there for hours all day. Like, I remember actually talking, like, they were saying that if we all go to juvenile detention, like, maybe we can all stick together so that we don't get messed with or something. Like, we were making plans about, trying to survive in jail. Right. I remember that in the holding cell. And something happened with my attorney, that my attorney didn't show up or whatever. So I saw all these kids in the cell. There maybe was like 6 of them. Mm-hmm. I saw them all come and go and see the judge. And I was in the cell by myself. And
what were you thinking at that point?
I just thought it was over a route. Like, I was still kind of in shock. It was like the second day. I didn't really know all the details about everything.
Yeah.
So there was an attorney that felt bad, and she took my case.
How did she know about it?
Because she was there at the courthouse defending somebody else. And she had been there all day, and she had seen, I don't remember if she came down to the cell or not, but she had seen, no, what it was is that she saw my family in the courthouse all day. All day. And they ended up talking to her or whatever, and she's like, why are you guys still here?
Do you remember her name?
I don't remember her name. I remember the detective's name. Detective Simonetti. And yeah, so she said, I'll take your case for free. You know, just like pretty much just so she would represent me in front of the judge just to get me out. And then it's on my family to, you know, find me an attorney and defend me. She's like, obviously, I'll take your case if you want, whatever.
And you don't believe in a God.
Well, she's a good person. You know, if she sees a family that's been if I was an attorney.
But to me, when you're saying all this, I'm just thinking.
Well, I mean, if I was an attorney and I see a family that's sitting there stressing over their kid all day, I mean, I would do it too.
There's not too many. That's just there's not too many.
Anyway,
that
we're getting on something else. But so my family had to like round up all the money they had so that they could bail me out, and I ended up getting out. And so the day that this kid got robbed was I had a half day of school. He got robbed at about now. Take in mind that this was when I was 14. So this is what, 21 years ago? And I can tell you every detail about what happened because I had to remember it. Because if I didn't, I was going to go to jail. So you'd be surprised at things that you can recall from an average day. Like if I forced you, like if I told you right now, what did you do 2 weeks ago on Wednesday? You wouldn't know. And back then, you don't have a calendar to remind you what you did that day. Right. You know, you have to just... And I went back on a regular day and I recalled every single thing that happened because if not, I was going to go to jail. So anyway, so that day was a half a day. The kid that got robbed, he got robbed at about 2:30 because I was thinking if he got robbed at 2:30, that's not perfect. Sucks for him, but perfect for me because at 2:30, I'm in school. So there's no way that I robbed that kid. You just look at my attendance. I was in class while he's getting robbed and I'm good. Right. Turns out I had a half a day of school. Ugh. So, in our building in New York, they have cameras. And the cameras record who's going in and out of the building. And they keep that saved. So we went back to the security cameras for our building. And it shows me getting home from school. I don't know if it was like at 12 or 1 o'clock. This kid gets robbed at 2:30. And it shows me leaving our building at maybe 1:45, 1:30. So obviously, I'm not in the building anymore. I'm out in the street, which gives, in the prosecution's eyes, time for me to jump in a car or walk to wherever this kid's at, meet up with my friends, and rob him. Right. So I was thinking to myself, what did I do? I walked from my apartment to my grandmother's building, and I went and I saw some of my friends. So my friends, I have some alibis now. So I went and I talked to my friends, but I remember they were playing video games, they were doing whatever, and I needed to go to the grocery store for some reason to buy orange juice. That's the only thing I bought. It's fucking weird. Like, I don't know why the hell I went to the... So anyway, so I went to go see my friends, but then I left again, and I was by myself walking the streets, which is not a good place to be when this kid's getting robbed. Right. Because my friends can say, yeah, he was with us at this time, but what if I left that building and jumped in a car and went to go rob this kid? Right. So I'm all by myself out in the streets, so I have no alibi, except that I went to the store and I bought that orange juice. In that store, they also have cameras. Wow. So we go back to the store, they check the security. Security doesn't record. They have a security guard and he just watches the cameras. Yeah. So I have zero alibis, except for my friends, but it's not a great alibi because it wasn't at the time that this kid was getting robbed. At that time, I was by myself. So I remember talking to my attorney, and he pretty much told me, he's like, this kid pointed you out. He pointed you out and said you did it, and it doesn't look good. Like, you are going to have to talk to the jury or the judge or whatever, and you're going to have to pretty much plead your case. And like, he's like, you got to make them feel it, make them understand, but you got to, like, I remember he was saying, like, they hear this all the time. He's like, so pretty much, like, prepare yourself because you might go to jail.
I can't imagine. Like, I just can't imagine going through that. I mean, watching that show, I just couldn't imagine.
And I remember being in my apartment when it's crazy. Like, you walk in the door and you look to the right and there was a love seat. And I remember my dad and my stepmom sitting on the love seat, and I had a yellow legal pad that I was writing my speech out to the judge or to the jury or to whoever I was going to have to talk to.
Right.
And it was to the effect of, like, you know, I have no idea why I was arrested. I mean, I do know why I was arrested, but it wasn't me, which is what every
Most
criminal
people,
says.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they're innocent. They're all innocent.
Right.
But I was, you know, I was like, I didn't do it. Like, you guys are going to put me in jail for something that I didn't do. Mm-hmm. I have no idea, you know, why this is happening. Like, you're going to ruin my life. I'm just a kid. I'm 14 years old. Mm-hmm. And you're going to ruin my life. Like, I remember my attorney was telling me, he's like, you need to cry. Cry when you're there. You have to. And even when I was 14, like, I still didn't show a lot of emotion. But I remember, like, I was practicing to my dad, my stepmom. And, oh, man, it was... And then watching this show, seeing what's happening to these kids, like, it started bringing... Like, even talking about it now, it's crazy because I'm thinking about it, and it almost gives you anxiety.
So what happened? How did you get...
So, yeah... I didn't go to jail.
Come on, you're here.
Yeah, so what happened was it was a group of kids that robbed this kid, and they went out looking for the rest of the kids that were in that group.
Okay.
So my case is going on. I have a date set to go talk to the judge. I've been practicing my speech. And when I'm getting ready to go into the courtroom, or I don't know if it was the day before or whatever, my attorney asked me, do you know this guy? And he gives me his name. And I'm like, no, I don't recognize that name. And he seemed excited. I wasn't excited. I didn't know what was going on. And then we go into the courtroom, and my case is dismissed because when they were out looking for the other boys that were part of this group,
right,
the kid pointed somebody else out and said, he's the one that robbed me.
Jeez.
And the police said, I thought we already arrested the guy that robbed you. And he said, no, he robbed me. So they arrested him, and they started asking him questions, and he started confessing to everything that they were accusing me of.
Wow.
And they dismissed my case.
Jeez.
And it was crazy. It was crazy. And one of the craziest things is after that happened, I remember walking through my neighborhood, and I was with my friend Juan, and I saw the kid walking down the street, the kid that pointed me out, because I knew him. He was from one of our buildings, and like one of the buildings on our block. And I walked up to him, and I said, hey, you remember me? And he's like, no. And I was like, you don't like, I lost my mind. I started I was like, you don't remember me? Motherfucker, you almost put me in jail. And he said, oh, that was you? Like, he was surprised. I lost it. And my friend Juan grabbed me. He's like, calm down. Like, because he didn't want me to get in trouble or anything. But yeah, he had no clue. Wow. He didn't even recognize me. When I walked up to him face to face, he didn't even recognize me. But if they didn't arrest that other kid, you know, these kids on that show, they were locked up for years. Like the kid that was tried as an adult was locked up for a long time. But even the little kids, the 14-year-olds, they were locked up for years.
Right.
It's insane. And
you feel it. Like when you watch this movie, it's like you put yourself, or even like I'm thinking Joey, like, you know, what if that was my son? Like, you know, when something like that happens, it's not just the individual going through it. It's the entire family.
Yeah.
That's going through it. The hurt.
Ruins lives, ruins families, ruins a lot of stuff. And the thing is that the cops had, like, my situation wasn't that. It wasn't even close. Right. Because at least they didn't make their mind up on me. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Because I never got to see the prosecution because it got dismissed.
Right.
But the prosecution would have, they would have done everything they could to lock me up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Which is kind of
scary.
messed up.
Yeah. Yeah. When you think about the justice system,
I don't know, man. It's crazy.
It's very questionable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts.
That's why people need Legal Shield. Were you waiting for that?
We are associates with Legal Shield, independent associates, where you can get quality legal service
at the palm of your hand, and it doesn't matter what state you live in.
We just got done saying that, we do this because it's fun, not about money. Get into all this shit, and then you drop an ad on everybody.
Hey, they helped me with the lease agreement today.
Yeah, they did. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine like the people that go through that, and you hear it. It's not uncommon.
And then when they're out, they're still living it because
they're seen as that, as what they were.
Like there's no, like their education, their career, like their life is just.
They pretty much get turned into criminals while they're in jail. Like if I had gone to jail and I spent a few years in jail, I mean, that could completely change your life. Now, maybe I can't get a job because I have a felony or whatever.
It's hard.
I've been in a place for years with criminals. And like we talked about on one of the other podcasts, like you surround yourself with certain people, like you pick up certain things and you get out, you can't get a job, can't make money. So what do you do?
What's that show we were watching that the gentleman would go into different jails? And
I think it's like the world's worst prisons.
Yes.
Yeah. He goes into like prisons all over the world.
Do you remember the one prison that actually helped them?
Where was that? Yeah, it's like a rehabilitation.
Yes. Yes.
Was it in Costa Rica?
That was so interesting.
I think it might have been in Costa Rica. But like they have jobs like I mean, no, it wasn't in Costa Rica. It was somewhere in Europe, I think.
Yeah.
But that place it's crazy. Like you look at their jail and you're like, that actually doesn't look too bad.
Right. No, I mean their jail cells look like little studios.
They had a studio in the jail, like a music studio.
Oh, yes.
With instruments.
Yeah.
They had like a carpentry place. They had a like an auto shop.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Because they said what they wanted to do was prepare them, like
for when they get out.
Like
they were trying to rehabilitate them.
Right.
Which, I can see, people make mistakes,
the pros and
especially for men. Like men their brains we have a kid, we have a boy. And the most dangerous years for a boy, from what I've heard, are like 14, 15 years old till they're about like 23, 24.
What?
Because at that point, you're still making irrational decisions. Your brain is still forming. Like you don't understand that what you do is going to affect you for the rest of your life. And in that jail, like they were focused on rehabilitating people. And I think that people can change. I also think that there's some people that you can't change.
Right.
But.
Well, they have to be willing.
Yeah.
They have to want it.
And I think in that show, they had people that were trying to do better. Mm-hmm. And then there was also other people that didn't care.
Yeah. Like they weren't working. They were staying in their cell and they didn't have as much freedom and opportunity as those that were making an effort to change, to do better, Yep.
So, that's
interesting.
That's something that I don't think about very often. But when we, watching this show these last few days, it's like I've thought about it a lot. And the anxiety kind of comes back. And it was a shitty situation.
I almost forgot you went through that until last night when you started talking about it.
Yeah. No, it was some real stuff.
It hit home.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that serious, but still, it could have been. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, to every detail of that day, on the way to get orange juice, I was walking by the park. And like in the video surveillance, I see that I'm wearing when I left, I was wearing a jacket. when I walked back in, I had the jacket in my hand. Oh yeah, the kid got robbed at 2:30. On my video surveillance of my building, it shows me getting home like at 3:00.
Jeez.
Yeah. So perfect timing. I leave before he gets robbed, and I come back right after he got robbed. And I'm holding my jacket in my hand, and I remember like every detail. I remember I walked by the park, and a bird shit on me. And that's why I had the jacket in my hand when I walked to the store. But I'm telling you, like, I had to remember every little detail of that day.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Nuts. That's nuts.
So now you guys know something a little bit more intimate.
And don't forget
about me.
to put this song, because I think that would be kind of cool for people to listen to.
So onto a little bit more of a positive note.
Yay.
So we were talking about the podcast and the vision for the podcast. And I think one of the things that kind of motivated me to do it, or to like really kind of, I guess, inspired me. I saw these two things. I showed you one of them, and I think you might have seen the other one, but it was a video of this guy selling door to door. The guy that was selling that cleaner.
Oh, I want some of that cleaner.
Yeah. He was selling it to somebody else, and he sold you. But man, the way this guy sold it, he was so good.
Yes.
Like, he was so funny.
Yes.
And you can tell, like, it takes a lot of practice. Yeah. And when he's talking to the people, like, he's telling them, he's like, your neighbor bought it, but not just because of the cleaner. Like, he bought it because of my personality, because he believes in me.
Yeah,
like, that dude was passionate. He wants to be a comedian.
Yep.
So if you're on, I've seen it on Facebook. I'm sure you can see it on YouTube. His name is Kenny Brooks. And if you look up, he sells like this cleaner. He's great. Like, it's really funny. And then the other thing that I saw was these two brothers, Deron Taylor from Cleveland. It's a boy. He's like 14 years old, and somebody stopped him. He was on his bike, and they saw that behind his bike he had a trailer made out of 2x4s.
You told me about it, but I didn't see it.
Lawnmower. He had a weed whacker, and he had a blower and a can of gas. And his little brother was following him on another bike. And the guy sees these kids going down the neighborhood, and he stops them. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" And he's like, "This is my business. I cut grass. I mow lawns." He's like, "Where did you get this setup?" He's like, "I made it." And he had the trailer like screwed into his bike,
really?
So that he can get around the neighborhood. And I mean, it was just super inspiring. And he's got his little brother out there helping him, and they have a business of mowing lawns. And
I could see our kids doing that.
Yeah, Deron Taylor from Cleveland, Ohio. They got a video of it, I'm sure, on YouTube. Well, I'll post it on the group page. But man, you see these kids, and it's like they're 14.
Yeah.
14, 2x4s, lawnmower. Go get some. You know?
Go get some.
For real. Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
It's really cool. I'll make sure I post those in the group.
When there's a will, there's a way. I mean, there's so many ways to make money today. Yeah, Uber, Lyft. What is that other one? They drop groceries off at your, door.
Or DoorDash.
Oh my gosh. Like, there's just so many ways. And then the scooters where you can go and, charge them up.
The scooters and drop them off.
It's hard to see how people are struggling when there's so many ways to make extra money.
Yeah. But everybody, I mean, we're all our own people. Mm-hmm. That's why when I listened to that podcast, it was pretty cool that when he was saying, like, to figure out how to make money being yourself, doing what you want to do. He was talking about how if he competes with somebody else, he can't be beat because he only does things that he's passionate about, things that he likes. So if it's work for you, guess what? You're going to lose.
Right.
So it was pretty cool. Yeah. And it's motivating at the same time.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
So this will be the podcast to look back on.
Yeah.
10 years from now, you guys are invited. Not if you're listening 10 years from now. If you're listening now, you're invited to the party, the giant party.
So if you're watching this now,
yes,
give this podcast a like.
Put a comment.
Today. Put a comment.
Yes, because we'll look back and you'll be there at our party.
Yes.
At our studio.
All right.
Right?
Yep. Not in our kitchen.
Not in our kitchen. We got the refrigerator right there and the stove over there. This is just a setup.
Earlier, it dropped some ice, and he's like, what was
that?
I'm like, ice.
The ice machine.
I'm like, if it happens to drop during the podcast, you're gonna see me ice.
We should get like the vanilla icing. Dun, 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 dun,
Ice.
dun, dun. Whenever ice falls from the ice machine. So anyway.
Some people won't get that. If you're too young, you're not gonna get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna hustle, and we'll bring you guys the best that we have,
Yes.
and it'll be fun.
Yeah.
So we've got to that point. You got anything else, babe?
No, babe. We're good. We're good.
We're good. So
Yeah.
when you guys listen to this, Sonia will be out of town.
Yes.
I'll be going nuts working on the rental with the kids, and it's all good though.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to.
That's how we support each other, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we just make it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we said, this podcast is available on YouTube, and this podcast is brought to you by TrustIncUSA.com. That's TrustIncUSA.com.
Trust Inc. is. I was like, wait.
Yeah, no, Trust Inc. is hilarious.
Trust Inc. is a mobile notary service. We are nationwide, so it doesn't matter what state you live in. You need a notary, give us a call. Go to our website. We also are independent associates with Legal Shield, and with Legal Shield, we provide law firms at the palm of your hand
Yes.
nationwide.
So, and the way our podcast is going to grow, one of the ways, and one of the best ways it grows is by sharing the podcast. We definitely appreciate you guys sharing the podcast. We just recorded, or I just edited like a short little commercial that we're going to be sharing. And if you guys can share it with people, that would be great. It kind of gives them a glimpse of little different things that we talk about.
Yeah. Short clips.
Yeah, short clips. Our website is oppositesattractpod.com. That'll take you to our Facebook page. We also have a Facebook group that you're welcome to be a part of. And you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all at Opposite Pod.
Yes. And in our group, you know, it's open. It's an open group. So if there's something that you want to share, something, you know, that you want to suggest or comment.
Something you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
Something for the landscaper.
Something for the landscaper.
It's been a long time.
It has.
That's more like a Cuban Scarface landscaper.
You have, yeah.
Maybe we can get into some other voices at another time.
Yeah, because
Anyway.
you're really good with that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you guys, it's been great.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yes.
We'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.